8 rappers who grew up in the suburbs. Today's rappers are fond of repping capital cities and big urban projects for street cred and clout. But which artists grew up in the leafy, white picket fence suburbs? This is Too Rich for Regular, from rap to the streets and everything in between. But before we get started, if you're here for the first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button below and join Too Rich for Regular. We're uploading all the time, so don't miss out. As usual, we save the crazy for the ending, so stick around. This is 8 rappers who grew up in the suburbs. Number 8. Tyga. Tyga's origins and upbringings have caused a lot of controversy, with people passionately debating about whether or not he actually did grow up in the rough city of Compton or in the affluent suburbs of San Fernando Valley. Tyga always claimed he grew up in Compton up until the age of 12 before he moved to the nearby town of Gardena a few miles away. Could this all be a hoax? In a reality TV show interview with Tyga, he talks about how he grew up in San Fernando Valley and how his mom drove around in Range Rovers. When this video surfaced, many people were seriously confused. Tyga had always claimed to be born and bred in Compton, so why then did he talk about living peacefully in the suburbs? Most people think what he said was scripted or he was just joking around. In response to all the drama, Tyga tweeted a cryptic message which really didn't make things any clearer for fans. Did Tyga grow up in the suburbs or in Compton? I guess we might just never know. Number 7. Travis Scott. Travis Scott is an interesting one. He's never claimed that he grew up in the hood, and he simply couldn't because he grew up in the middle-class area of Missouri City. His mom worked for Apple, and his dad owned his own business, and he was sent to a private school, which isn't common for most rappers nowadays. We wouldn't blame you for thinking that Travis had an easy life growing up in a middle-class neighborhood, but in actual fact, up until he was 6 years old, the key to growing on YouTube is knowing what thumbnails, tags, and titles you need to use so that you can get the views, which equals more money. If you want to grow your channel to 300,000 subscribers, use TubeBuddy. You can get TubeBuddy for free by using my link in description or first comment. TubeBuddy.com/strong. He was raised by his grandmother, who lived in a poverty-stricken area of South Park in Houston. While under his grandmother's care, Travis was exposed to the struggles the poor lived through, especially drug and alcohol addictions, hunger, and homelessness. Travis moved back to the suburbs with his parents, and that's where his music career began. However, everything he had seen and experienced in his early childhood became a driving force inside Travis, giving him the determination to make his mark on the world and create a better life for himself. Number 6. Drake. Drake lived in a working-class neighborhood on the west end of Toronto. Then his parents divorced and he moved to the affluent suburb of Forest Hill when he was 11 years old, in the year 2000. All of this paints a picture of an easy and comfortable upbringing. However, Drake says that in reality, he lived in the basement, with his mother living on the first floor of the house with yet another family above them, renting out the second floor. Okay, realistically it wasn't that bad, but with Drake going to a private school with some of the richest kids in Toronto and not being as well off as them left Drake feeling like an outcast and isolated amongst his peers. His schooling arrangements just weren't working, and this led to Drake transferring to Vaughan Road, which he believed was a much better fit for him. The hip-hop industry is obsessed with culture, with a majority of high-profile rappers originating from rough, underdog origins. Drake is definitely an exception, and doesn't fit the standard narrative, but he still managed to become one of the biggest artists in the world. Number 5. Pusha T. Pusha T has no qualms rapping about being a drug lord and repping the hood, so you wouldn't expect him to have grown up in the middle-class area of Virginia Beach. Pusha and his brother No Malice lived far from the projects, but they did have friends from the rougher parts of town, and they were the ones that introduced them to the drug game. Pusha T and his brother were attracted to the drug dealer lifestyle. Candy paint jobs and fast cars motivated them to build their own empire by selling drugs, while at the same time forming the well-known hip-hop duo Clipse. Unfortunately, on their rise to fame, their parents found out about their illegal dealings and kicked them out of the house. Luckily, at that time, they were already on the rise, but things took a turn for the worse by the time they achieved worldwide success. For their roles in the widespread drug ring in Virginia Beach, most of their friends and managers had been arrested and locked up. These arrests led No Malice to seeing the light and giving up his rap career to dedicate himself to God, eventually becoming a preacher in his hometown. Pusha T, however, was more determined than ever to make the big time, and he's now one of the most prolific rappers in the industry. Not to mention he's also the president of Kanye West's Good Music label. It's been a long and bumpy road for the brothers, but it seems to have worked out well for the both of them. Number 4. J. Cole. J. Cole grew up in the suburbs of Fayetteville in North Carolina. He used his hometown as a metaphor for his success on his 2014 album, Forest Hills Drive. This album represents a better life for both Cole and his family. Prior to living in Forest Hills Drive, he lived with his mom and brother in a trailer park. Cole constantly faces criticism over being a pushover or too soft, and his childhood definitely contributes to that. Growing up, he maintained good grades at school, and as a child, he initially wanted to pursue a career as a violinist. Realistically, where you came from and how you're raised doesn't make someone less of an artist or a talentless musician. Number 3. Lil Yachty. Lil Yachty first blew up when he released a series of mixtapes and albums where he took auto-tune crooning and mixed it with melodic hooks to create his signature sound. Before we came to know Lil Yachty though, he was known as Miles McCollum. Miles grew up comfortably in the suburban town of Mableton in Georgia. There's little information on Lil Yachty's upbringing, but we do know that in 2015, when he was 18, he had a run-in with the law after being caught for running credit card scams out of a mall in Florida. Lil Yachty is lucky he didn't spend more time in jail than he did. When Lil Yachty was released from jail a few days after being arrested, he changed his focus completely and turned his life around. Now he stays out of trouble and doesn't get caught up in criminal activity like so many other rappers. Number 2. Chance the Rapper. Chance the Rapper is a textbook example of a kid who grew up in a middle-class neighborhood and managed to make it big in rap. Chancellor Bennett, aka Chance the Rapper, grew up in middle-class West Chanton in Chicago's South Side, with both of his parents working for the government. His dad was even an aide to Obama while he was a senator, even meeting the future president on several occasions. Chance used the local library to the best of his ability, and this is where his passion for music was ignited. His first breakthrough into the hip-hop industry came with his 10-day mixtape, and his career has only been on the up since then. Surrounded by government employees while growing up, Chance gained an understanding of politics. He's on a mission to help Chicago's children out of poverty and support his hometown in any way, shape, or form. Number 1. Tyler, the Creator. Previously known as Tyler Okonma and now widely recognized as Tyler, the Creator, this performer is turning heads in the hip-hop industry with his supremely violent and provocative bars. Tyler, the Creator, has created an outlandish persona for himself, one that is so different from the quiet upbringing he had. Growing up in Los Angeles, he spent his childhood between Ladera Heights, Hawthorne, and Sacramento in North Carolina. During his childhood, his passion for skateboarding, fashion, and music flourished. His story begins with him working all sorts of jobs, from FedEx to a Starbucks barista, until Tyler broke through into the hip-hop industry. So there you have it, 8 rappers who grew up in the suburbs. Did we miss anyone you'd add to this list? Let us know in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video, please give us a like, subscribe, or both. This has been the 8 rappers who grew up in the suburbs, and you're watching Too Rich for Regular. See you next time.